Yo,
Yo,
what's going on, man?
all good, man. Enjoying this rainy Tuesday in Orlando. How are you?
Man, I'm about to be up there later. Actually, I'm about to go meet up there with Swerve later for this
Ah,
podcast. So,
very
so I'm
cool.
gonna be in your neck of the woods in about a couple hours.
Very cool. Very cool. How you been?
Man, life's been good, bro. Just been working, bro. Working on this music, grinding music
Great.
videos, staying hungry, man. Doing a podcast with Swerve, working on music with him, staying busy and diligent, man. How you been?
Yeah,
I've been seeing you putting in work, man.
yeah, man. Same point in work, and can't really complain. Like very blessed to be able to work, during these times. So, just doing my best to, represent everyone and everything. So.
Absolutely, man. So first off, man, how's everything been going with the pandemic? How's the family health? Everybody been
So
good?
actually, we've been actually pretty good. We've all been very smart about it. Only going out when we need to. And my family, they're still in their house, not leaving if they don't need to. My dad hasn't left the house in 4 months, but we do everything for him. And if he needs anything, we'll go over and bring him stuff. And like, we've been knock on wood healthy so far, even though the rest of the world hasn't. So I can't. Yeah, it's crazy how you value health once you realize that someone in your family, is immunocompromised, and you realize that it's not just about them. Now you have to worry about yourself, because then you get sick, they get sick. So everyone in my family's been like conscious about that and just been very smart about it.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question, because it's funny, because I was talking to some other athletes about this. And it's the same thing about music, right? I haven't been able to tour for a good I wasn't touring for a bit, but
Yeah.
especially now with everything, we haven't been able to really tour and everything like that. And talking to a lot of the wrestlers, they was like, well, it's been kind of hard for a lot of us, because without us being on the road consistently, putting in the road, putting in the pain, putting in the bumps, our bodies it's been kind of hard for our bodies to adjust with not being as active. So have you experienced any difficulties with that, and how do you stay busy even with the downtime?
So I lucked out, because I actually after this podcast I'm going to Winter Park to train at Devon Dudley Academy, where I help train Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. So I have access to the ring. So I haven't really been out of a ring, as much as other people. And for the first month, yeah, we didn't go anywhere, right? So when I got back to the ring, it slowly started to hurt more, and I realized that I was winded and everything hurt a little bit more. I was sore. But ever since I have access to the ring, I've been able to train every week. So I'm not under the category of not being able to cope. I've been able actually to cope, because I've been wrestling throughout this pandemic, even if it's in a hot, warehouse. I've been taking the bumps and doing the drills and stuff like that. So when I started wrestling back again, I wasn't really too behind where I left off. So I've been lucky in that front, that I have access to the ring. So nothing really hurts anymore, because I'm always active now. Sure, I'm not really traveling now. I'm just traveling up the road, right? But you putting in the reps actually has helped my body not feel as bad.
Absolutely, and that's the thing too, with music, right? Because it's like live performing, and being able to grab that microphone and be able to get back in it. It's muscle memory after a while,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's muscle memory after a while. But it takes some time, especially when you haven't done it. Writing music and putting out music is different from going out there having to give a 30 minute to an hour set and giving people giving people a great show. So I totally understand and respect where you're coming from there. I totally understand. One thing about you, man, is that you've been on your grind a long time. And I like having people on the show that has been on the grind for a long time, because we have a lot of the same parallels on not taking the elevator to get where we're going.
Yeah.
We've had to take the stairs. We've definitely had to take the stairs. Definitely had to take the stairs. And I was talking to Chrissy James about this last week. Tell me a little bit about being able to stay motivated when you might see other people. Not saying it's a bad thing, not saying that you don't wish the best of people.
Yeah.
Some people had the elevator to get where they've gone.
Yeah.
And then somebody like yourself who's had to take the stairs to climb. Everybody's story is different. Tell me a little bit about your journey and staying motivated, even though that you've had to take the stairs to get everything you've got.
I think because, like you said, I took the stairs, it helped me mature as a person. Because when I first started noticing that other people would get opportunities and I was the one grounding, not that they weren't grinding or working hard, but I always felt overlooked and always felt like, hey, it's what about me? I'm here too. I used to be angry, and it used to be like, not to the point where I was petty, but I was very angry inside. Like, I would ask myself why. Like, instead of looking into myself like, what could I change or what could I do to make myself have a better chance, I would just ask, why me? Why not? Why is it them? Why are they there? Why not me? But years after years of just grinding and pounding the pavement and just working shows, whether in front of 5 people or 5,000, it helped me mature as a person. Because now, if that would happen to me, I wouldn't be upset. No longer would I go, oh well, I have all the tools. Why aren't you looking my way? And I honestly believe that if you just don't quit, if you just grind it out and just don't quit, something will happen. But the problem is that people don't know how close they are, and they just let it all go away. They just let go, and then they'll never know, right? And honestly, if it wasn't for, I have a really good support system. My girlfriend's amazing when it comes to like just talking me off a ledge and sitting me down and going, hey, listen, you have all this going for you, appreciate what you do have, and trust me, something will happen, right? And it's something where it as a person, you have to understand that it's not just in wrestling, music, it's any aspect in life, right? You might feel overlooked, and yeah, maybe sometimes you are, but then you have to make yourself undeniable. And the only way to do that is just do what you're doing, but be the best at it. Because eventually, and I never understood this, I understood the saying, I never really believed it, but the cream does rise to the top, because eventually you will get noticed. And at first, when I heard that saying, I'm like, oh, that's just some 80s hokey, BS that they say to make you feel better. And honestly, the more and more I do this, the more I realize, no, if you just work and keep working, and yeah, you're going to be exhausted, and yes, you're going to feel like it's not worth it, and yes, you're going to go wake up one day and go, why am I doing this? But the difference is, don't lay back down. Get out of bed and keep doing it, because eventually something will happen. And with that mentality as a person, right? Because when I was a kid, I thought everything should be handed to me. I would work hard, but I'm like, all right, well, I did everything really well, so why am I not getting a shot, right? And the more I realized, the more I grew up, and the more mature I got, I realized the world doesn't work that way. We don't get handouts. You just sometimes some people have to grind and work harder, but guess what? We're all here, right? So might as well make the best of it.
And that's a great point, man. And seeing how, I don't like to talk about myself a lot, but just seeing our journeys and seeing, with pounding the pavement and me making theme song after theme song all these years. I thank God I've had Swerve and my family, because it has really, really messed with my head. I went through a period of time where I went through that. Yeah. And I was like, yo, man, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? How many songs do I have to make more before I get my, you know what I mean?
Exactly. What else do I have to prove to everybody before someone goes, hey, let's go, right? Yeah.
That's a fact. And then you start saying to yourself, okay, how much more do I have to give to the game before you realize that the game gives back? But then you start realizing that in the entertainment industry, there's no structure to it. There's no you work a regular job, man, and when you apply for a job, what position you're going for, what you do, the time that you work, how much you're getting paid, right, and what the curriculums of that job is. And the entertainment business is some of that, but a lot of it has to do with chances, luck of the draw, who what how good you are, what are you willing, how much are you willing to give to somebody else before you're willing to get yours? Yeah. And how much of a team player can you be? Right. So there's so much that goes into it. And you sit back and you wonder, and you sit and you think about it, you're like, well, okay, this is my shot. I know this is my opportunity. Then another few years go by. And a lot of times with us as entertainers, we move off emotion. Everything we do is off emotion. So we have to go off a feeling. And if we're not feeling good at that time, and man, it can show on our work.
Right.
It can show on our everyday lives. It can show on our relationships with our families, because you want that opportunity and you do anything to grind for that opportunity. So with you having a school, right?
Yeah.
What is something that you tell, your students coming up, and they come in, they have no idea, they're not seasoned to what you know, they're coming in with the wide eyes. What is the most honest thing you can tell them that they might not get from that the industry might sugarcoat from them?
That you're not going to graduate on Friday and have a multi-million-dollar job on Saturday. This is not something you can do overnight, especially wrestling. You can't be good at wrestling overnight. Like you said, there's a lot of factors that come into like whether you get a look or not. And I tell them this is probably going to be the hardest thing mentally you'll ever do. Forget about physically. It's the hardest thing mentally you'll ever go through. It has been for me. I reiterate to them almost every time we have these, the powwows that we do after class. Like, if you really want this, be prepared to just be heartbroken sometimes, because that's how it is, right? But that builds character, right? It's not something you can get overnight. Like, some people might, and there's some people in my class right now that I can look at them and go, hey, if you send your resume in today, you'll probably get a call back, whether you can do a hip toss or not. Why? Because you look the way you do. You're jacked to the gills, you're 6 feet tall. Hey, if someone just looks, hey, this looks like a wrestler, we can teach him, we'll bring him in, right? But the same thing can't be said for the person right next to him, because he doesn't look just like him, right? So I tell them, like, be prepared for those type of situations where you can be the best wrestler on the planet. But if that's not what they're looking for at the moment, it's not going anywhere, But eventually they will come calling if you just, again, we heard what we just said earlier, just grind it out. But it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And a lot of people think that because we're on TV and all these bright lights, and you see we have a big presence on social media, that they go, oh, well, these guys, they clearly, like, they made it, they've done it for a long time, it's easy for them. Like, no, you have no idea what the miles everyone put in before you. And you don't know their story, because guess what? That story isn't always available to you. But if you sit down with somebody who appreciates what they have, and they'll tell you how hard it was for them, and then you realize, oh wait, they're probably right. This is not something that's going to happen easily for me. And I really hope people understand that. Some do, some don't, right? Some think that it's going to happen to them regardless, and it's great. You have that confidence, but also have the wherewithal to know that it's probably not going to happen that way.
Man, it's funny because I talk to younger artists, and I posted something on my Instagram earlier. I was telling people, like, the grind of creating an album, going through the process of it being done, submitting it, going all over the world, going through the promotion, then going back around, getting it released, going to your release date. And then once you recognize that once that release date comes, the whole process begins all over again. And it's the same thing with like a wrestling match. You're waiting for that match. You know what's coming. It's on the card. And then it's like, once that bell rings, and once the 1, 2, 3 happens, or, once that bell rings at the end, you're going back to the next drawing board for the next thing. And you guys are in that ring. Like, for music, we're writing all this for about 2 or 3 minutes of a song to entertain the world. But we go through all this creative process for 2 or 3 minutes. You guys can go in there from 2 minutes to however long you guys wrestle. You go through all that for that short period of time, for that rush of what you love to do.
Yeah.
And then the whole world of politics and everything begins again once the bell's over.
That's it.
And it's crazy how it works, right? So let's get into music a little bit, man. On a lighter note, who are some of your favorite musicians? Who are you listening to right now? Any genre? Give me some of the people that you like.
Right now, I'm actually listening to an artist called NF. Who I identify a lot with, just the what he writes about, and how his mental struggles, and how he talks about, he sings about how, I'm here now, that's great, but it took me so long to get here. It took me such a long time to get here, and now I'm still not happy. I'm still not satisfied because I want more. right? And
Mm-hmm.
I feel that for me, right? Because I've had a very long career, and I'm thankful to be to wrestle during a pandemic on AEW, right? But I still want more. I just don't want to be the guy like, oh, he just does this. All right, cool. No, I want way more than that, right? I want to wrestle another 18 years and do way more. So I music like him. Echo is another artist that I identify with, who more or less has the same the same ideas behind his music. Where hey, there's a line where he says, you know, he's not the only one that the music industry has abandoned, but he's still here, you know, grinding. And I apply that to my wrestling. So for the longest time, I thought the wrestling industry abandoned me. I
felt the same way.
I
felt the same way.
thought that, hey, he's a good hand, but he'll never go anywhere. He's good for this specific role on the indies, and that's it, right? And I for a long time I thought that what people thought about me. Maybe they do, maybe they didn't, right? But you get into your own head sometimes. But that line resonated with me so much that even to this day, I wrestle, and it's gonna sound weird, but I wrestle angry, right? Because I want to prove that I'm not just another guy, right? And everything I do in the ring, whether I'm high flying or being a character or whatever, there's an anger behind it, but it's a positive anger, if that makes any sense, because it makes me try harder, it makes me work harder. Right.
That's how I make my music now.
Right.
That's exactly how I make my music now. You know, sorry to cut you off, but I just have to chime into that point because I was just talking to Christy about this last week. We were just talking about this. It's the positive. I had to learn how to channel into my dark side, but to make it a positive into my career. Like I've been making the best music of my life. I don't care if I'm talking about a female on a song. I don't care if I'm talking about, you know, being lyrically better than somebody else. I don't care if it's like just a bar song or whatever, a family song, whatever. I have to tap into that dark energy because that's what helps me tick. The more positive side of me, I live my everyday life. But when it comes to my creation, I have to tap into that darker side and I have to kind of rap that way because it brings the best out of me. You know, and I know how you feel in the parallels of, you know, when you have that long journey road and you're kind of I call ourselves like mercenaries of our talents. You kind of get to a point where if you don't tap into that energy, if you don't think about the long 15, 20, 30, however many long years you've done it, you kind of feel like you're doing yourself a disservice because you're not thinking about that journey to get there and you're not staying hungry. Absolutely. And that's why I really respect what you said when you said, look, another 30 years, I want to wrestle another 20, 30 years. And you'll realize how much it adds to your legacy because one thing you have that many people don't have, you can say, look, I'm here at AEW and I'm climbing higher and I'm higher and I'm higher, but I also gave back to the game and put 30 other people on.
Right.
So you're able to have both. Some people cannot say that they got on rather at an early age or a later age, and they've also gave back to the game and also got theirs at the same time. It's you're in a very, very unique situation because you're on both sides of the fence. You ever like listen to like a lot of celebrities? They make it, they become big, but they don't bring nobody else with them. If you're a big comedian and you bring no other comedians with you, you can't put no young guy on stage and let him just get 20 minutes to make people laugh.
Yep.
You know what did you give back to the game? So
you have to give back.
Right. You have to give back. So, you know, one thing I got to commend you on as well is not only your grind, but also how much you've given back to the game, because a lot of that is what adds not only to people's legacy, but adds people to more to what they do. So also to add to the music end as well, what are some of the best concerts you've been to? Who are some of the best people you've seen live?
Actually, I haven't gone to many concerts. The last concert I believe I went to was in Orlando, maybe like at least 6-7 years ago. It was Schaefer the Dark Lord, who's a hip hop artist, in a sound booth in Orlando. It's like really small bar, but it was very engaging and something that. What I commend musicians is that if you can hook me with your music, it's great. But if I go to see you live and you can hook me visually as well with your energy, that's different. right? Because there's plenty of people, just like wrestling, there's plenty of people that look the part, but then when you see them live, like they don't match up, and then they lose some of that steam, some of that aura behind them. That's something that, again, I'm not, I don't sing, I don't have any musical talents, but that's something that I commend you guys for, because if you can keep that same energy that you can audibly and physically, that's something that it's just like wrestling. Like, I can cut a great promo.
It's the same thing.
Cut a great
it's the
promo,
same thing.
But as soon as the bell rings, if I don't back it up, then all I can do is talk. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to be able to do. You have to be able to master both in order to be completely successful. You know.
And the thing is, I always I told Swerve this when we first started talking. I said, look, wrestling and hip hop music, or not hip hop music, but music industry in general, it's the same. We're both in the same boat. We're just doing different things on the boat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people are on the boat, rowing the boat. You have the pirate, but we're both on the same thing in the entertainment industry. We're both in the same thing. What you guys do is more of a physical thing.
Right.
What I do, I just call it, it's a live promo for 30 minutes with music behind it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's a promo with music behind it and the words just happen to rhyme. And a lot of people mess up because they cannot give a live show to save their life.
Yeah.
They're great behind the microphone, but when they have to go up there and you have people who paid 10, 15, however much they paid to see you, and they know your music, and you have to stay energized and keep people engaged for 45 minutes to an hour, however long your set is,
yeah.
You know, that's when the money is supposed to be made right there, because people came out of their house,
right,
whatever they were doing in life, and came to spend time with you. So now it's like, okay, what can we do to be able to, you know, give these people a show? I want to ask you as well, like, when you first got the contact, right? Because you always get that moment where you feel like, okay, I'm getting somewhere. I'm finally getting somewhere. You get the call and you're like, okay, I'll get the opportunity to go on AEW now. Okay, but you're a veteran, so you know you want more. What's that feeling like? Like, are you satisfied, or you're like, okay, I'm getting here, but I also have, you know, 40 other things I want to do. What was that initial feeling like?
When I first got like the call, because I've been doing this so long, nothing, like, I don't jump the gun anymore. I don't get excited until like,
me neither, dude. Me neither, dude.
Even if it does happen, I don't believe it. Right?
Me neither, dude.
Very cautious about like how everything plays out these days. And honestly, once I realized that what was happening, I just realized, hey, this is just another place that I have to prove myself in. And I didn't get here, and I can't rest on my laurels, right? I can't rest on my past accomplishments. Because great, those were good enough to get me here, but now I got to prove to them to have to stay here. Right? And I can't just go, okay, well, I'll just try the bare minimum because I'm already here. I'm like, no, now I have to try even harder because I want to stay here. You know, I want to stay here for a very long time. Again, it was like, I mentioned this to my girlfriend. It's day one all over again. It's first day on the job. You want to do well and come back the next day and the next day and the next day. You never want someone to go, oh, well, I thought he was this. And then, you know, then you get this stink of like, you got here, you're not working hard enough. Like, no, I want to be the one that shows up early and helps with whatever needed, right? Because I have a lot of experience in behind the scenes wrestling stuff too. And you stay late, you look at production, you see how everything's made, you go wrestle, you come back, you still watch because you got to be a student of the game if you really want to do this for a very long time, which is what I want to do. So my thing is like, I got here. Now I got to prove to them that I'm worthy enough to stay here. And that's my mentality every day I go to work now.
You know, it's a great feeling because you don't want to, like I was talking to someone and they were like, you know, man, why you don't get too high or why you don't get too high anymore? I'm like, look, man, can you imagine doing something so long, putting so much time into something, and you get overly excited, and then that disappointing feeling happens, and you have to live with that feeling. And that feeling of disappointment when it doesn't happen is so bad. Yeah. You don't ever want to have to go back to that feeling again. So when something great happens, you don't want to get too high because it happened,
Right.
but you don't want to, wrestle on your laurels. It's like in our business, we're constantly working our resume each and every day.
Yeah.
We're constantly going to the pods and be like, here you go.
Yeah.
Every single time, every single batch, every single song, we're constantly, giving our resume up. So, when you're putting in that work and putting in that opportunity, and it finally happens for you, you're like, okay, what can I do to be successful? What can I do to get on? What can I do to, build my brand? So as far as your brand and what you want to do, what are some other goals outside of wrestling that you do? What are some things, hobbies that you have outside of that you want to build for yourself?
I am a very big, huge video gamer. That's something I've always wanted to do. Right now, I don't have the time to really
Yeah. Can you hear me? You cutting in and out, my man. Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, I see you now.
I want to be able to merge both worlds eventually because the gaming is a passion of mine. I've actually worked on video games before. I've done motion capture for WWE games and stuff like that. So it's something that I'm very familiar with. It's something that I think I have the experience to help put something together. That's one avenue. I've taught wrestling for such a long time, even though this is still part of wrestling in the business. I don't know what I'd do if I don't teach, right? Because it's something that I've always wanted to do, and I think I'm very good at it. And I think it teaches the right way. So I want to be able to get new kids, teach them the right way, so they can probably hopefully get to where I'm at right now, even further than that, right? Because that'd be great. Because I only had a few people that looked out for me. I want to be that person for them, right? I didn't have a lot of people that go, hey, let me take you by the hand. This is where you have to go. This is how you do it. Let me introduce you. All right, now have fun. I didn't have that, right? So to be able to do that now to my kids is a really great feeling. I had a couple kids the other day at the tapings at AEW, and I first day on the job, I grabbed them by the hand. All right, this is this person, this is this person. Go here, don't go in here. Hey, have fun. It's not something you should be afraid of. You don't be afraid to teach a new generation of people your craft, because guess what? You're not going to be here forever, right? So that's another big passion of mine. Those two things. If I can somehow find a way to merge everything in one little bubble, I'll be happy the rest of my life.
Yeah, man, that's funny how that works, because a lot of us have this gift to be able to give back to other people. We just don't. Certain people just don't put it behind, put the passion and the time it takes to help other people grow, simply because they feel like they're constantly giving themselves up to other people. But the game, the game eventually has to be told.
Right.
The game eventually has to be told. Somebody eventually has to pass it down, because it's like they always say, you're not going to get somewhere if someone above you doesn't open a door that sees something that other people might not see.
Right.
So you open a door for someone else, somebody opens a door for you, and it's each one teach one. Like, I was on my grind and making music for 4 years. Swerve opened a door for me. It opened doors to me to get to levels that I've never been. Yeah. So, that's, and then, somebody else opens a door. Somebody else opens a door. Then musically, I've been able to open the doors for him to get him, right, with certain things on the music side. So it's just been. I understand, man, where you're coming from on that grind and putting in that pain and putting in that work. One last thing I want to ask you about as well is, when you see the current state of the world and you see the way everything's going on right now, man, and for anyone out there who might be struggling with staying positive, or struggling with, like you said, music. I'm very familiar with who NF is and the music that he makes and his journey. And people who might struggle with, staying confident or staying focused on their goals, or feeling like they're counted out. What advice do you give the people on how to fight through those battles? Because it's a very, very, very tough thing to do for a lot of people.
Honestly, and this is coming from the heart, you have to, number one, find something you enjoy doing, something that you can escape to. Something that you can go, hey, the world sucks right now, but for these 10, 15 minutes, I enjoy doing this, and this will make me happy, and I can reset and center myself. And don't take more than what you can handle at a time, right? You can't change the world in a day. You know, you can't change your life in a day. You have to be able to take baby steps. Try to fix one thing, work on one thing. Okay, that's great. Move on to the next. It took me a long time to realize that this is hard. Like, I'm not talking about wrestling. Life, life is completely hard, right? Some people that you see like on TV or some of your friends, you might think they have it easy. I guarantee there's something behind those eyes that, you know, they struggle too. Everyone struggles in their own way. And please understand that everyone's going through what you're going through. You might just not see it. So if you feel like somebody else that you idolize, look up to, at one point went through what you're going through, but see how they propelled forward, and that might give you inspiration to keep working on yourself to propel yourself forward as well, right? Because no one is akin to, like, no one has it easy. Right? Everyone in our situation, there's something going on. Everyone has their problems, and everyone has their hookups and stuff like that. And just please, just don't worry about right now. Like, don't worry. Everything happens for a reason. Not everyone understands that, but know that your reason is because you want to be able to make it further than what you are now. But the only way to do that is just take it step by step.
Absolutely, man. And, you know, one thing, man, I got to commend you, man, is, you know, you're being able to sense to stay motivated, and your sense to stay with your foot on the gas. So many people quit. So many people give up. So many people feel like it's not coming our way. And, and we both talked about this earlier, about talking ourselves off the ledge and really, really believing in ourselves to win, you know, and what does it take? You know, I want to commend you, man, as being a fellow entertainer and someone who I'm a fan of watching wrestling and following your journey for such a long time, for giving so much back to the entertainment business, giving so much back to what you do, and putting in that effort, putting in, you know, that forward motion. And now watching you on TV every week, I feel a sense of connection to you because, you know, our journeys are such the same, and we've always been cool. Yeah. So watching you now was like, yo, one of us made it. You know what I mean? Watching Eddie Kingston make it, it's like, okay, one of us made it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I always say, like, it's underdog season. I've been saying this underdog season for the past year. 2020 has really been underdog season because a lot of us we was feeling like we were like kind of typecasted and forgot about, or a lot of us are starting to get our plates now. And we're all handling it the right way. You know what I'm saying? We're all like, well, this is not enough. Okay, that's great. Thank you. But, you know, even though we felt like this should have been 10 years ago, but we feel like, you know, we're here now, and this is our journey to make it. And, you know, man, thank you so much, man, for, you know, giving me your time, man.
Oh, and, sure, man. Hell yeah.
And, you know, just being able to give me some of your wisdom and chop up some game with a hip hop artist and a fan of wrestling, man. And you know, I've always followed your journey, and you know, one day we'll be able to get a face to face down with everything going on.
Yeah, so that'd be great.
And you know, man, I appreciate your time, man, and thank you so much for giving me your time. And give everybody your social medias where they can follow you.
And Twitter, Instagram at King Serpentico, just one word. You know, I'm on there almost every day. So yeah, just hit me up, you know, send me a tweet, send me a IG message, all good stuff. And I appreciate you for giving us the platform too. It's not everyone, you know, not everyone sits down with us and talks about not just like, oh, we're you know, the wrestling journeys. Give me your life journey, right? It's different, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I try to give people a different type of thing, because it's like, if I'm an artist, I don't want to talk about music all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're a wrestler, you might want to be in the realm of what you do, but you don't want to talk about that all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want to talk about that same thing. You guys get paid to do that. So if I'm in the studio all the time, the last thing I want to talk about is the album I'm working on a lot of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know, man, thank you, man, for your time. Thank you for the respect. Thank you for the friendship. And, man, I will look forward to seeing you soon. We got to link up for some lunch sometime too, man.
That'd be great,
and I got to chop up some mental game about some other things that's on my mind as well, just to get your advice on some things. So, thank you, my brother. You take care of yourself, man. Much love, big bro, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care, man. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Bless, man. Peace.